Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Rebecca Haggerty, and I am your worship associate today. The theme of today's service is how to navigate the apocalypse. And I want to share a story. And this story is from a young woman I worked with this summer on a high school journalism program. She was born in eastern Ukraine, and when she was very young, in 2014, she and her family left their home because Russian and Russian-backed forces took control of the region, and they moved around a bit before settling in another Ukrainian city. Then when the wider war broke out in 2022, she and her mother left. Her father was not able to leave. And they made their way to Spain and then felt very fortunate to get a visa to the United States. So they came to the United States and they settled in the Pacific Palisades. And on January 7th, on that morning, she was home by herself doing homework for AP History, and she got an alert about the fire. So her mother was at work in Santa Monica, and they don't have a car, so her mother was having a hard time getting home. She was on the bus, then she was trying to get an Uber. And so she told this young woman, go to the Bluffs and meet up with some family friends. So they were reunited, but they were not able by that time to go back to their home. So they lost everything in the fire. And then, Pali High also burned, and that's where she was studying, so they went online for a few months. And she told me that was a very hard time because she felt so alone with the computer, and that one of the things that she had lost was her journals and her artwork that she carried with her from Ukraine, and that was very painful. But she told me she also had a lot of time to think, and that when they went back to school in person in April, they put the Pali kids in the Sears building downtown, that she felt different because she felt as though instead of the hopelessness and the helplessness that she had been feeling, she started to feel as though she could take action, that she could have hope and have goals for the future and see herself as someone who could affect her life, even despite all of the terrible things she had been through. And I thought that was very insightful for a teenager and an inspiring way for us to think about how to navigate an apocalypse, right? So to not give up and not give in, even if it feels like there are a lot of dark forces happening, but instead to think about what we can do together to take action. So come, let us worship together. And today we are really fortunate to have a guest minister. Right? So we have Jessica Tenhave Place. So most of us know her as the Director of Religious Education, Multi-Generational Religious Education. And before coming to UUSM, she served progressive Christian communities in the areas of children and youth ministry, women's ministry, and social justice advocacy. She is particularly passionate about queer liberation and economic justice, which she pursued both through activism and academics at Wake Forest School of Divinity, receiving her Master of Divinity in 2015. And she lives with her husband, James, and their cat, Longboy, in the Expo Park neighborhood of South LA, and loves all the opportunities our beautiful city provides to experience live music, fine art, great food, and Dodger baseball. And clearly, her prayers for Mookie have been working. So thank you for doing that. We are so glad to have all of you here with us. Whether you're here for the first time or you've been coming your whole life, our congregation is an open and affirming congregation, welcoming people from many diverse backgrounds. We celebrate many religious beliefs and learn from contemporary wisdom and ancient wisdom, which you can see through our symbols here. We offer ministries and programs to serve the needs of our congregation and be of service to the larger world. And there is truly something for everyone here. As we gather, we recognize our homes and the homes of most of our members and friends are located near the sacred waters and upon the unceded lands of indigenous people. This is the traditional home of the Tongva, Gabrieleño, Keys, Venturino, Fernandeño, Tataviam, and Chumash tribes, among others, and we honor their presence and the ongoing struggle for equity, justice, and sovereignty. And it's now time for our opening hymn.
Good morning, everyone. Please rise in body or in spirit for our opening hymn, 139, In Your Great and Wonder Still the World Shall Witness. Wonder still the world shall witness, never known in days of old, never dreamed by ancient sages, howsoever free and bold. Sons and daughters shall inherit wondrous sights to us unknown, when the dawn of peace its splendor over all the world has thrown. They shall rule with winged freedom, worlds of health and human good, worlds of commerce, worlds of science, all made one and understood. They shall know a world transfigured, which our eyes but dimly see. They shall make its towns and woodlands beautiful from sea to sea. For a spirit that shall move them, only but vaguely apprehend, aims magnificent and holy, making joy and labor friend. Then shall bloom in song and fragrance, harmony of thought and deed, fruits of peace and love and justice, where today we plant the seed.
Love is the doctrine of this church, and the quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, thus do we covenant with each other. El amor es la enseñanza de esta iglesia. Buscar la verdad es su sacramento y el servicio es la oración. Vivir juntos en paz, buscar el conocimiento en la libertad, a la humanidad en comunión. Así es como convenimos unos a otros.
Join back to the old book.
As St. Bob Ross said, there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. I would like to invite our children and young people to grab a grocery bag from the corner. And if you have a donation for the Westside Food Bank, please raise your hand, and one of our young helpers will come get that from you. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping. We partner with the Westside Food Bank, give them donations so that they can help serve people in our community who are dealing with food insecurity and hunger. This is such an important mission that affects people all throughout Los Angeles and right here on the west side. And so thank you so much for everyone bringing donations, and to our kids for helping to collect them. Let's see what we got. Alex has got some peanut butter for us. Emerson's got some mac and cheese. Good job, guys. Aged white cheddar. That sounds delicious. Thank you so much, everyone. What do you got, Calvin?
I got this.
Some tuna. Wonderful.
It's my dad laid up tuna.
Nice. Yeah, these are all great shelf-stable type items that are great to have at the Westside Food Bank. Nice. Good job. So if we can all put the rest of our donations into the box there, I will meet you on the stairs for a time for all ages. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for helping. You can come over here and hang out on the stairs with me. Doing a very professional job of sorting all of our donations over there. Thank you, everyone. How are y'all doing today? Good. Good to hear. Good to see you all. So I wanted to talk today about the word hope. And I wonder what the word hope means to you. What do you think? What does hope mean? Something you have to kind of think about. What do you think, Zia?
It means like you hope for like a better future or stuff like that. Like that's what you wish could happen in the future, and it's like I think if I work hard enough, I could hope that this could happen or something like that.
I think that's great, Zia. That's a wonderful definition of hope. What do you think, Emerson?
I think it's for. I think it's for. So it's like you're hoping for all wars to end.
That's a beautiful hope. Thank you, Emerson. What do you think, Calvin? What's hope mean to you?
Means of the song. The guy was funny. He lost his paper.
I don't know if I know that song, but you'll have to sing it for me later. That sounds good. Did you have something to say, Theo? Did you have anything you want to say about hope?
What about? A monster ate a T-Rex ate a bee and
Yes, a little separate topic. I am hopeful for the future because our children love imagination, storytelling, and science, and that gives me a lot of hope. So thank you, Theo. Anyone else thinks what hope means to them? Anybody else want to share? You have one more thing, Calvin?
I hope for. Can I wait? I hope for good life and good Lord.
That's lovely. Thank you, Calvin. How about you, Lucas?
Trying, I guess. Trying for something.
Yeah. I love that. I think both you and Zia pointed out that hope can be like thoughts and dreaming and wishing, but it also has to mean action, right? If we want our hopes to come true, we need to do something to work toward it. And so I have a present for you guys waiting back in the cottage. I'm hanging out here with the grown-ups today, but Shauna and Cynthia are going to be over with you in the cottage. And everybody has a cup of seeds that you can take home, because I'm glad you're excited, because I think we can think of hope as like a tiny little seed, right? Especially when we face hard and difficult times, hope can seem like a really small thing. But when we water it and give it sunshine and take care of it, then hope can grow. Do you have a thought, Zia?
And it can grow into something really, really big, like a sequoia tree. Those are really small seeds.
Absolutely. They can grow into something really big. And so thank you all for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for having hope and for being hope for all of us. And so I'm going to stick around here today. That woke me up. Let's sing our way out with Go Now in Peace as we all make our way to the cottage. Come down.
So our first announcement this morning is, as always, please silence your cell phones. Next, I want to remind everyone that next weekend, next Saturday, August 16th, is Soulful Sundown. And there's a potluck, and there's an open mic, and Tom will be singing, probably, most likely, which is a real treat. So encourage everyone who's able to go and check it out. This coming week on August 13th, there's a Zoom book group meeting to discuss Search, a novel by Michelle Hunnevan, which you still have time to read it. It's a really good book. And it's also very appropriate because it is about looking for a minister for a UU congregation. So it's a really appropriate book for this moment. And speaking of which, as you know, we have our committee is gearing up to look for our settled ministers, so please keep an eye out for communication from them in the future. In addition, today, there is a potluck and also a meeting about communications. The communications committee wants to hear your thoughts and ideas about how better to communicate all the different ways that we give and receive information in our community. There are many, many other events happening, so please check your order of service, check the Thursday email, and check the website. Okay, so it's just about time to greet your neighbor, and before doing so, please remember to listen for the piano music, which will let you know that it's time to wrap up your conversation and come back. So, now time to go ahead and say hello to your neighbors.
Oh, the time will come when the winds will stop and the breeze will cease to be breathing, like the stillness in the wind for the hurricane begins, the hour that the ship comes in. Oh, the seas will split and the ship will hit, and the sands on the shoreline will be shaking. Then the tide will sound and the wind will pound, and the morning will be breaking. Oh, the fishes will laugh as they swim out of the path, and the seagulls, they will be smiling, and the rocks on the sand will proudly stand the hour that the ship comes in. And the words that are used for to get the ship confused will not be understood as they are spoken, for the chains of the sea will have busted in the night and will be buried at the bottom of the ocean, at the bottom of the ocean. A song will lift as the mainsail shifts and the boat drifts on to the shoreline, and the sun will respect every face on the deck the hour that the ship comes in. Then the sands will roll out a carpet of gold for your weary toes to be a-touching, and the ship's wise men will remind you once again that the whole wide world is watching, that the whole wide world is watching. Oh, the foes will rise with the sleep still in their eyes, and they'll jerk from their beds and think they're dreaming, but they'll pinch themselves and squeal and know that it's for real the hour when the ship comes in. Then they'll raise their hands saying, we'll meet all your demands, but we'll shout from the bow, your days are numbered. And like Pharaoh's tribe, they'll be drowned by the tide. And like Goliath, they'll be conquered. Like Goliath, they'll be conquered.
I have some joys and sorrows this morning, and I'm going to kind of do a layer cake. So starting with some joys, Greg and Linda are celebrating their grandson Dante's 5th birthday in Missouri. And Glenn and Nancy Howell will be celebrating their 66th wedding anniversary on Thursday, August 15th, and Nancy is taking a cake to the memory care facility where Glenn resides. For our sorrow, Norm has let us know that last Sunday in the evening, Bev, his wife, fell down about 11 stairs at her son's home in Massachusetts, and unfortunately suffered 2 broken ribs, bruises, and a mild to moderate concussion. Yeah, so Norm says the EMTs were really very happy that it wasn't worse, but the most difficult limitation is she can only do screen time in a very limited dose. So if you would like to reach out, please email, and Norm will read those emails to her. So ending with two more joys. One also comes from Norm, that his two sons and grandson raised, they finished a 500-mile plus bike ride with 300 other riders from New York City to Niagara Falls to raise money for cancer research and treatment. Which is wonderful, yeah. And it was particularly special for the family because, as many of us know, Norm's daughter-in-law, his oldest son's wife, Charlotte, died this past April, and they wrote in her memory. So, yeah. And the total raise, the three of them raised more than $45,000, and the total raise was almost $2 million. So, very impressive. Another joy, we are happy that Francois has returned from an 18-day sailing trip that he did from Hawaii to Los Angeles. So very impressive, and he's not even sunburned. So. Yeah, Cassie.
Robin, our previous intern minister, is visiting with us today. Some of you may or may not have known her, but she is just fabulous, and we're so happy she's visiting.
Yes. You want to stand up, Robin? Welcome. Yes. Hey, Charles.
My fourth grandchild was born on Friday.
Oh, yes. Good, I knew that. Congratulations. Good morning, Charles. Okay, well, we're blessed to share in our joys and our sorrows together.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Can we give a hand for Rebecca and for all of our worship associates who do all this? Thank you. Moving into our time of mindfulness, prayer, and meditation, we're talking about apocalypse today. Not the cheeriest of subjects. And one of the symptoms of living through apocalyptic times is I feel that we are given insufficient time and space to mourn and to grieve all of the sorrows in the world. We still cannot do that sufficiently right now today, but we can have a moment. And I think we can try to remember those moments every day and think about what we can collectively do to memorialize the pain in our world. As you all know, advocacy for Palestine has been an important part of what I consider to be my ministry. And I wanted to speak to what's happening there. The exact fatality numbers in Gaza are impossible to know since so many doctors, journalists, government bureaucrats, and aid workers are among the dead, and the totality of destruction in Gaza has eliminated any infrastructure capable of counting the bodies that now lie under the rubble. Based on extrapolating from numbers published by The Lancet last year, realistic estimates of the death toll are around 100,000 people, or 4% of the population. Since starvation began in earnest only a few weeks ago, no meaningful aid has entered Gaza, and at least 1,300 people have been killed by IDF soldiers, American mercenaries, and panicked, desperate crowds at the so-called aid sites sponsored by the US. The Israeli government now plans to move the remaining population into a concentration camp, euphemistically referred to as a humanitarian city, and mark all those outside it. Excuse me. mark all those outside it as enemy combatants. Since we do not know the names of all who've been murdered, today I name just one. Her picture is here. Zainab Abu Halib was born weighing 6.6 pounds and died of malnutrition at 5 months old, weighing 4.4 pounds. I've placed a photo on this altar of her mother, Ezra, holding a picture of Zainab when she was still full of life. Will you please join me in a moment of silence to honor Zainab? Our world is heavy with sorrow, and yet new joys still emerge, the small prophecies of hope and new life. A child's first steps, a song sung with beauty and reverence, the beautiful flowers that bloom even on the plants we call weeds, holding the hand of a loved one for the first time or for the last time. In prayerful meditation, let's take a few collective breaths, breathing in joy and exhaling sorrow, knowing that we will continue to breathe through all that is until we return to the earth that gave us birth. Let's take a deep breath in and out. In again and out. Once more. Thank you for holding this space with me. This community helps me, and I'm sure many others, feel less alone in our sorrow. These are apocalyptic times. The last decade has been filled with war, climate disaster, pandemic, political instability, and increased tolerance for bigotry of all kinds. With all of these things happening at the same time, it feels like the end of the world. Does anyone else feel that way with me? But apocalypsis, if you'll allow me to dust off my Greek, does not literally mean end of the world. It means revelation, or more literally, unveiling. Our current times have unveiled many things to those of us living in the heart of the American empire, many things we could not all see so clearly before. The greatest unveiling of my lifetime, which has had a seismic impact on my faith, my career, and my understanding of the world, has been the genocide in Palestine and the world's response to it. If you'll allow me, I'd like to share my testimony of this unveiling, as the Baptists say. When I first witnessed the atrocities being committed against the Palestinian people through the screen of my phone, as so many of us first did, I responded as I always had in my ministry career, by using my position to shine light on injustice and calling my Christian community to respond as Jesus would. But the pastor of our church refused to address the issue beyond vague platitudes about praying for world peace. When she still had not spoken up a few months later, and as the dead bodies of Palestinian children and other civilians continued to pile up, I stepped up in front of the congregation and prayed a sincere prayer. We pray for our brothers and sisters in Gaza who will be spending this season of Lent and Ramadan in unsafe places. Help us to do our part in speaking up for them to end this unjust war. Later that week, I discovered that my entire prayer had been edited out of the video of the service that was posted online. To make a long and difficult story short, subsequent conversations with our pastor unveiled to me that she would not allow such controversial statements to be made in the worship space. And so I resigned from my position. It was the easiest decision I ever made, and simultaneously the most difficult. All at once, many things had been unveiled to me that I did not want to be true. I only made it through this apocalypse because I accepted the truth of reality. I did not want it to be true that Israel would commit genocide funded and supported by both political parties in my own country, but it is true. I did not want it to be true that the vast majority of my fellow Christians did not speak against this genocide, but it is true. And for me, even though I did not want it to be true that my time in the Christian church had come to an end, it was true. Don't get me wrong, it was not easy to accept these truths. When my eyes were opened, I was plunged deep into the dark night of the soul, experiencing days of incapacitating depression. I was questioning everything, feeling extremely uncertain and unstable, since so many of my foundational beliefs, identities, and communities had been pulled out from under me. I was in a lot of pain. But it is much better to suffer through the pain of learning to accept and adapt to an unveiled truth than it is to deny it. Denying reality is poisonous to the human soul. Our energy and our thoughts and our emotions are sapped by the effort it takes to lie to ourselves. The genocide in Palestine has been perpetuated by an entire industry of mass self-delusion from both political parties in our country, from journalists associated with both the right and the left, from our esteemed universities, from celebrities and talking heads of all kinds. The atrocities have been denied, minimized, ignored, excused, and justified. They invite us into a seductive self-deception, which is, on the surface, easier than reckoning with the truth. But lies are always destructive. And lying to ourselves on this massive societal level is hugely destructive to our society as a whole. The truth has become a frighteningly unstable and subjective thing in our public discourse, which scholars agree is one of the prime features of historically fascist societies. As such, it is spiritually essential to accept the difficult truths that are unveiled to us in these apocalyptic times. But accepting those difficult truths is work, psychological and emotional and spiritual work. When I was trying to process the things that had been unveiled to me, I sensed that I couldn't do it without some sort of new spiritual grounding. I was feeling so ungrounded that I think my spirit was pulled towards the earth. Back in college, I read a book by an author named Starhawk, whose feminist, earth-centered theology and cool name had always stuck with me. I got back into reading Starhawk, connected with witchcraft communities in Los Angeles, and found new forms of prayer and spiritual connection that rebuilt part of the foundation I had lost when I left the Christian church in my community there. I began to access something personally that I had first learned about from Jesus. The divine is more expansive than our narrow minds conceive. Their presence is not limited to one particular religious tribe. God, Goddess, Spirit, Truth cannot be contained by one name, by one particular manifestation. I had read about it all through the Bible since childhood, where the divine presence is flame and rock and healing waters and enlivening breath. God is with us, we even said. My pagan practice was not a denial of Christianity's most meaningful truths. It was an expansion of them. This new spiritual grounding allowed me to find my feet again. But what kind of church would ever hire someone with such an eclectic and unorthodox set of beliefs? Finding UUSM was a miracle for me. You welcomed me into this community, enabled me to remain true to myself and my principles without giving up my vocation. This is a gift for which I am indescribably grateful. And it is an example of the unexpected hope and beauty we can discover on the other side of apocalypse. Which brings me to our reading today, a selection from the Apocalypse of John, aka the book of Revelation from the New Testament. While 21st century scholars are too distant from its writing to interpret every symbol with complete clarity, one thing is clear to any historically grounded interpretation of Revelation. It's about the coming downfall of the Roman Empire. Early Christians were a persecuted minority in this period of the Roman Empire, and they weren't the only ones. A large portion of early Christians were also enslaved people, poor people, women, and ethnic minorities. The Roman Empire was a fiercely hierarchical society that oppressed all these groups, and for all intents and purposes, the Roman Empire had taken over the world. But the book of Revelation presents a vision, unveils a truth, that this mighty empire will fall, and fall not at the hands of a great army, but to the rule of the very one it had brutally executed. I believe this revelation is true. In a certain historical sense, it's true that the Roman Empire fell and ultimately gave way to the Roman Catholic Church. I think that would qualify as a fulfillment of prophecy, technically. But in a more spiritually true sense, I believe that every empire will fall at the hands of those it abuses. This sometimes happens through bloody revolutions and wars. Just or unjust, they always bring incalculable suffering. But Jesus, one of the countless victims of the Roman Empire's brutality, taught a better way. He preached a subversion of the empire's values that obliterated the hierarchies on which it stood. His teachings unveiled the lies of the empire, the lies of domination and occupation and violence, and pointed to the truth of the inherent sacredness of each person and the interconnected nature of all things. After the book of Revelation spends many chapters detailing some gruesome visions of the suffering that empires cause and the karmic comeuppance they will inevitably receive, it unveils this vision of beauty. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city coming down out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her spouse. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "See, the divine home is among mortals. God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Death will be no more. Mourning and crying and pain will be no more, for the first things have passed away." Revelation is widely used by Christian nationalists to assert their warrior god's domination of the earth. But we must hear it with the ears of those it was addressed to, the victims of the Roman Empire. Like so many victims of our current empire, they had no one to turn to but their God, and the sacred promise that the reign of peace and justice would one day overcome the current empire of death. This vision of hope is what lies on the other side of apocalypse. The hope is this: it will not be this way for much longer. A new world is not only possible, but inevitable. This helps me understand the immortal spirit of the Palestinian people. For decades, Palestine has faced the ugliness of racism, violence, injustice, and death. And yet they do not give up even under these God-forsaken circumstances. They know more deeply than you or I can that this inhumanity is impossible to sustain and that a new world is inevitable. While apocalypse does not literally mean the end of the world, unveilings of this scale usually precede the end of a world. I pray, along with Palestine, that the world of apartheid and death is ending in this apocalypse, making way for a new world of justice and equity to be born. Our destiny here is inextricably tied to the people of Palestine, the people of Sudan, all oppressed peoples, all victims of the current empire all over the world. We are all facing apocalypse, the unveiling of hidden things that will result in the end of this world, so a new one can be born. What will that mean for us here in this country? Will it be the end of any semblance of democracy? The end of the freedoms that so many oppressed people here have struggled to win? The end of wisdom and intellect and truth, as we all keep our eyes tightly closed to revelations that would strike the foundations of our constructed realities too deeply? Perhaps. But it does not have to be. If we do the psychological, emotional, and spiritual work of accepting the hard truths being unveiled, this can be the end of a world that should have died long ago. The end of Western chauvinism and perpetual war. The end of a political system of limited choices determined by oligarchs. The end of our unrepentant abuse of the earth that is our mother. The end of setting boundaries around our empathy that put Arabs and Muslims and trans people and poor people and people with disabilities and people who are not citizens of our country outside the bounds of what counts as a real person. The end of that world clears the way for a much better one. The choice is ours. Will we open our eyes, open our hearts, and struggle through the pain of repentance, change, and growth that can lead to a better future? Or will we keep our eyes squeezed tightly shut and wait for the return of a safe, mythical past that never really existed in the first place? As we say each week, the quest for truth is our sacrament. I pray we can be true to this covenant and keep our eyes open to the most painful of ugly truths about our world, so that we may begin in earnest the work of giving birth to a new one. Amen, and may it be so.
Between 100 and 200,000, which is about 10% of the population has been murdered. And I'm in contact with a woman who has 7 children. She doesn't have a lot of donations, but they're starving right now. And there's food now in the market. If you want to help in any way, if you're feeling helpless and moved by the sermon, please contact me after the service and you can donate to her so she can feed her kids. That's what I want to say. So,
What's your name?
Mia.
Thank you, Mia. Thank you so much.
Your offering today goes to support the work of multiple groups in the church. In addition, half of our Sunday offering this month goes to Camp de Benneville Pines. Camp de Benneville Pines was established in 1961 and is supported by the more than 50-member congregation of the Pacific Southwest District. The mission is to welcome UU and kindred spirits to connect with nature, spark creativity, and build the capacity to influence positive change in the world. We invite you to contribute in whatever way feels right for you, and all of the ways to give are displayed on the slide behind me, and they are all gratefully accepted, and cash or checks can be placed in the offertory bags that we'll pass around shortly. Thank you for all that you give, monetarily and also through your care and attention to the church and our community. The ushers are invited to come forward, and your offering will be gratefully received.
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears, while we all sob sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. While we seek mirth and beauty and music light and gay, there are frail forms fainting at the door. Though their voices are silent, their pleading looks will say, oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis a sigh that is wafted across the troubled wave. 'Tis a wail that is heard upon the shore. 'Tis a dirge that is murmured around the lowly grave. Oh, hard times come again no more. 'Tis the song, the sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. Hard times come again no more.
Please rise in body or in spirit for our final hymn. This is 142 in your gray hymnals, Let There Be Light.
Let there be light, let there be understanding, let all the nations gather, let them be face to face. Open our lips, open our minds to ponder, open the door of concord, opening into grace. Perish the sword, perish the angry judgment, perish the bombs and hunger, perish the fight for gain. Let there be light, open our hearts to wander, perish the way of terror, hallow the world God made.
Leave you with this benediction for one of my personal favorite prophets, James Baldwin. The world is held together, really it is, held together by the love and the passion of a very few people. Otherwise, of course, you can despair. Walk down the street of any city any afternoon and look around you. What you've got to remember is what you're looking at is also you. Everyone you're looking at is also you. You could be that person. You could be that monster. You could be that cop, that soldier, that ICE agent, that complicit politician, that person who sits in silence. And you have to decide in yourself not to be. Amen. chalice, to go out and face the darkness with open eyes, open hearts, the courage of all who came before us, the hopes of all those who will come after. May we live in a way that will make them proud. Thank you so much.